Hunting buck deer with a bow and arrow can be a tough nut to crack sometimes. I thought I'd make a quick video here of several videos that I have over the years of buck bed hunting techniques, scenarios, whatever you want to call it. People are pretty confused about how to hunt buck beds, when to hunt buck beds, and rightly so, because it's pretty tough, figuring out a buck and where they bed, especially mature bucks. So, obviously scouting is the biggest part of that, and putting together all the pieces of the puzzle. But once you find that scenario, that piece of the puzzle, and you got them figured out, then what? That's really what matters. And trust me, you get busted way more than you're successful. So it's tough, but I hope y'all enjoy this video series here. Hope you learned something from it. I do not claim to be any kind of an expert on deer hunting, but I will say that if you do anything long enough, you're bound to learn something. And I've learned a thing or two, especially on what not to do. So kick back and enjoy. From the ground, spot and stalk on a bedded buck. He's right behind that log. I'm trying to get the camera turned on and get focused on him, and he stands up right there. I don't know what this deer heard or thought. He sensed I was there. I was being quiet, trying to get down on one knee and get turned around so I can make the shot, make a little bit of noise. He's circling around downwind of me, going to try to figure out what I am. I know I ain't going to have very much of an opportunity, so I've got to be ready, because we are eyeball to eyeball right now, about 10 yards right here. He's making about as much noise as I am. Right when he gets to that opening, he turns and looks dead at me. But it's too late. I let it fly. Not too bad. Now you're probably wondering what I did to get up on that buck. I basically slipped all the way around, used a log road to get down to a ridge, dropped off into a bottom, got on the bottom end of a ridge. The red line is my route of travel. Came back up with the wind at a crosswind to my face, and you'll notice I'm slightly off wind of this buck. Well, I'm expecting that wind to hit that ridge and bounce off into my face, and that's exactly what it did. And that's what it took to get in on this buck as close as what I did. I took my time. Once I started at that 90 degree at the bottom, from that point on was a slow, steady pace. I'd raise my binos, look for a while, and then move forward. Very, very slowly.
And it was a doggone foggy. We couldn't see 40 yards. And I'd heard him down there behind me. Apparently he got bark all over his antlers there. I'd heard him down there, or heard some deer down in there. The fog lifted up a little bit, and I said, well, I hope the fog lifts up high enough where I can see the side of that hill over there. And it lifted on up. I was sitting there just looking at the side of the hill, and I saw a little movement right down there in front of me. About 35, 40 yards from me. So I started watching it, sitting there looking at it, and then I see the tip of this antler and the end of that one right there sticking around. I said, that's deer down there. So I got my rifle and looking through the scope, and the sucker bedded down. Well, I sat there for maybe 10 minutes and I went, eh. I said, he throwed his head up and I could see this much of his antlers and the end of his nose. I said, that's a good deer. So I got my rifle, got my crosshair ready and everything. And eh. He threw that head on up. He threw it up too far. I put a bullet in it right there. And that was the end of the story, buddy.
Well, folks, I apologize up front for the clicking noise you hear. That's my camcorder. It's feeling a little bit sickly. This buck's about 40 yards away. It's not coming my direction, so I've got to try to turn this buck, get him my way. You saw that little tail flick. He heard me. So I'm just going to watch, see what he does. The turn coming my way, but then it looked like something got him sidetracked, so wasn't sure if he was going to be coming my way or not, so I gave him another little short grunt. And now he's looking my way and he's convinced that I'm a deer and he's going to be coming my direction looking for me. I'm just going to wait. So he's looking for me now. Lucky for me, it's real thick behind me, so he's going to have to come down there if he wants to see where I'm at. From this point on, I don't do anything but wait. He's committed to coming. All that shakiness you see that I'm doing is me deciding when to try to draw my bow. But I don't have a whole lot of openings. As soon as he drops his head, I drop him. Dead. I'm going to tell you right now, I love it when I ain't got to track them. Got me a good one. I come in here this morning, set up. His bed area is right behind me. It took me like 3 weeks to figure that out. Come down out of my tree stand yesterday morning. I come down here and I scouted this area out. I made a loop all the way around this area. And I know people say that you can't smell a deer. But yesterday morning when I come down in here and I was scouting, I could smell this deer or a deer. I think there's more than one buck working this one area. I knew he was bedding back up in that thicket. He's got a scrape right dead under my tree. It's fresh. And my son and I come in here this evening for a late hunt. Snuck in here real quiet, made a little bit too much noise. He heard me. He started grunting. He come grunting back at me. He come right up here to the tree, checking me out. I made a good shot. He's laying right over there. Got a piebald deer. Got a little bit of white mixed in with his brown. I'm on public hunting lands again, right on the edge of a clear cut where this buck had already bedded down twice. And I continued to grunt at him, work him hard as I could to get him to come back out into the hardwood edge where I'm sitting. He wanted to make a straight show his dominance. And the reason I didn't get all this on film because I only had just a couple minutes of videotape left, and I wanted to try to get the shot on film. So that's an amateur mistake. Don't ever go in the woods with a tape that's almost empty. I hear him thrashing around. He's down. What a deer. This thing's beautiful. You know, I've seen it before where you got clear cuts and kind of open hilltops, and you got these thick, nasty, trashy bottoms like this. Can't really see it good, but that little tree right there has been rubbed mainly on the other side, but you can see he's hooked this side, and go right down in here in the bottom. It's a little bit of an open area right here. You see the hilltop is open all around, but boy, when you get in this bottom right here, right there where he's bedding, you see that watered out, matted down spot right in the middle of all this thick trash. I did not hear him get up and leave, and of course there's no way you can get in here super quiet. Now that I found this bed, I'm gonna try to find me a location and set up a tree stand, but as you can see, these deer started piling in on me, and I'm kind of pinned down on the ground right now. When I find a spot like this, I'm going to go ahead and set up on it because you never know when that buck might come through here. I'm kind of pinned down on the ground right now. I've got deer above me on top of the hill. I've got deer to my left, and I've got several deer to my right. I got a little buck chasing these does around. I gotta wait for them to settle down, hopefully move off so I can get in my tree stand. Now this is one of them moments I look back in time and wish maybe I should have took the shot. Didn't think I had enough video light, and I really thought I had this buck figured out. But the rut's unpredictable, and bucks don't stay in a bed location like that for long. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to scout hardcore, try to locate a big buck that I spotted last year, and maybe I can get a little more in-depth knowledge of how he walks the terrain, travels back and forth through these clear cuts, through these pine thickets, nasty, trashy, gorgeous, you name it. That's his life. I'm going to get right there with him and see if I can't figure him out today. Maybe I can locate one of his primary bed areas. That would be awesome. I've located one of his primary bed areas on a previous scouting trip, but I don't really think he spends majority of his time in that spot. He's coming from the other direction, so that's the direction I'm going to scout today. I'm going to backtrack him and see if I can't get in on top of him and try to figure out some kind of game plan for next year to kill him. There's deer bedding in here. That's a good sign. Alright, I need to figure out where the big one's laying, because I don't think he's laying out here. But these deer, they'll bed all in this stuff. I'm up on a high hump out in this clear cut. Even in these clear cuts, deer want to bed on a hump. They had escape routes. It's probably doe bedding, but you know you got a pretty good group of deer. You see the old deer beds, about as many old deer beds as you do new deer beds. I bet there's some in these pines too. When you find a place like this, they just, yep, there's a really big bed right there. Really, right up in these pines, there's a big deer laying down. And you see he's up in these pines. All these does are scattered all around him. 40 yards over there, you got doe bedding. Bunches everywhere. Over there, you got doe bedding. And right here, you got this clump of pines on this point, just off to one side. And I believe this might be one of his bed spots right here, in amongst all these pines. So I like this. This is another piece of the puzzle. This is starting to make sense now. On the other side of this gorge is another spot just like this. And this buck is bedding in that same spot, almost identical, on the opposite side in a different clear cut. That's a big bed right there. Good deal. Follow this trail back and see where it's heading to the gorge, because that's where I want to set up. We'll follow this trail right here. I believe this will be his trail that he walks, staying in this thickest stuff, going that direction. See where it goes. Yeah, this same trail, it went out there and it got right to the edge of the opening where there weren't no pine trees, and it hooked a left and come right back in here. So this is a good buck trail right here. Some big old droppings right there in this trail. There's another buck bed right there. That's a big bed. There's a big bed there. He is. Oh, there's a big bed up there too on that little knob, just a little knob, 2 foot rise, 2-3 foot rise. A big bed on it. He's spending more time in this corner than he is out there in the clear cut. That's pretty obvious. I like this spot. Dude, I'm gonna get this buck. He just don't know it yet. Man, I gotta figure out how he's getting in and out of here where I can hunt him, because I can't really hunt him with a bow and arrow out in this stuff here. I find a trail going in and out though. He might be in trouble. This is pretty cool out here. You got like a little dirt mound here. There's a bed on top. Got a little dirt mound here. There's a big old bed on top right here. This joker's been laying in this bed a lot. I'm 99% sure that I have found the primary bedding. See, he's got it laid down to the dirt. Got deer droppings all in his bed. Deer hair. I can see deer hair from here. These bucks are bedding right here. I found a primary buck bed area. There's no doubt about it. All right, I got to figure out a way to get in and out of here, or the trail he uses to get in and out of here. It's gonna be tough. They ain't never in a good spot, that's for sure, to hunt. They always make it tough on you. There's another bed right there. He's laying everywhere in here. He just gets up, mills around, lays down. That's what they do. I think this is going to be the main trail going in and out of here. It's covered up in deer droppings, old and new. Another deer bed. This is what I'm looking for right here. Area just like this. I mean, do you see how thick this stuff is? People say, well, this is too thick for deer. Dude, when you get out in this stuff, it opens up with deer trails everywhere. Deer beds everywhere. But it's in the right spot. That's the key. Because you can walk the rest of this clear cut. This might be a 100-acre clear cut. You can walk the rest of this clear cut and you might not find this everywhere. It's in key locations. There was a hump out here in this clear cut, made a little ridge, some ditches, series of ditches, and these deer are bedding on these little knobs on these series of ditches out here in the thickest part of this clear cut where you just can't get to them. That's where these deer are in this particular spot. There's one big track. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's one really, really big track right there. It's an old track. It's not real fresh, but this is the one I want to follow. Well, I'm back at the truck and I found some good stuff. I ain't gonna lie. It was well worth the trip coming out here today and stomping through briars. I probably lost a quart of blood, but I'll get over it. I think I got that one. He gave me a good shot. I may have hit him a little far forward. He's crashing up there. That's a good, oh, I hear him. I think he's down, he's down. Dude, he didn't go. Hard to see over there, but Joker didn't go 50 yards. Well, I didn't hit quite as far forward as I thought. That's exactly where I was aiming, right dead on the money. That's a heart shot right there. He's a hoss. If you look right here, there's another deer bed right there, and there's another deer bed we've been laying right there. You see he's laying there, he's laying there, he's laying behind me, and this is in the bottom. People say the deer like to bed on ridge tops. No, sir. They like to bed in this stuff right here, the ones I hunt. Now, they do bed on ridge tops. I ain't gonna lie about it, but I don't want to mess this bed area up right here, so I'm gonna turn and go around this little bitty section here. You say, well, deer ain't gonna bed here no more. Yeah, they will. As soon as all this settles down, they'll come back in here. They feel comfortable, they're good. What they do, they expect, people walk up and down that gas line, right? And they're sitting here monitoring that gas line. You say, well, deer ain't that smart. Absolutely, they're that smart. They see you walk up and down that gas line, and then all they got to do is step out into that gas line. They hear something, they step out into that gas line, they go up or down that little gas line and shoot right back into this mess. That's called an escape route. If they don't want to do that, they could jump right over there, just about 30 yards 40 yards if you go that way, hit that SMZ. That SMZ is pretty clear, kind of open through there. They can use it, run, and circle around you. They ain't going that way. It's just impenetrable. I mean, a deer can go that way, but ain't nothing coming in that way without them knowing it. And with a north wind, which is what we got today, then that gas well pad would be almost at their back. Well, it is at their back. It's northeast wind. Yeah, north wind. Be dead. That's what we had this morning. But my scent was just off wind of them, and my scent was blowing down that SMZ, which I didn't expect deer to be walking up and down that open SMZ. I figured they'd be coming out this corner right here where I set up. That's where they did. But I found a much better tree. I can go down that SMZ. I can actually use that a little bit to my advantage. And a lot of these trails intersect right there, and they cross that SMZ just about 50 yards down through there. And about 75, 80 yards further on down is another really good crossing. I've seen bucks cross down there, so I may hang tight to the clear cut, try to catch these deer coming in and out of their bed. I think, heck, I don't know if I can get in a tree or not without, I mean, if he's bedding right here and I try to climb one of them trees I'm looking at down there, he probably gonna see me. I don't know. Might be worth a try. I've done it before. That's the deer bed. And if you turn around and look right up, sorry for the shakiness, right up in that tree, right there, one of them pines, that's the tree I was in. How close do you need to get to a buck bed in order to kill him? You guys got to get pretty close. Now this particular bedding scenario right here is a little bit different than the normal. This is early season. This deer's feeding on acorns, and sometimes these deer, when they're not pressured like this, they will absolutely flop down right underneath the acorn tree, just, I think, to keep the other deer away from their acorns. Acorns are a highly sought after food source this time of year, and they can be pretty protective of their food. Now this buck bedding in this scenario is what I call a rut-based scenario. He's bedded on a little shelf, looks like maybe a fire break on the side of a steep hill. It's got clear cuts on both sides, SMZ in the bottom of it that's really thick. He can jump off into that SMZ for an escape route. He's got the winds whirling, kicking around, pulling a draft up and down that little steep drainage. He can smell does from a distance. And he can see them from a distance, and he can hear them. So he's searching for does, and he's going to set up in a position that gives him the best advantage. And if you look at this buck, the way he's set up, when I zoom back out on this camera, you can pretty much tell he's got a sweet little deal going. It's going to be hard for anything to walk around him for a couple of 100 yards without him knowing it. Now this is yet another rut scenario. This particular buck here is with a doe in lockdown. My son's got this video footage here, and the one before actually. And what he's doing in this case is he's out in the middle of a wide open clear cut up against a brush pile. He's actually trying to protect his doe from all the other bucks that are chasing, looking for the does in heat, and he thinks he can get out there in a wide open area away from everything else. These bucks will use roads, rivers, open areas, pastures, clear cuts, anything to their advantage where they can push a doe to a spot, still be able to hide. You might not be able to see it, but there's a ditch back behind this buck, directly behind this buck. He's watching and looking for the wood line because that's where they all come from, chasing. And he can run and chase her down into that ditch, and they can escape together. This is called a lockdown bed scenario. These bucks has learned to be pretty good at tending their does or they get took away from them. He survived several years down here evading me, and I mean, I don't know how he does it, to be honest. I mean, I rarely ever lay eyes on this deer. That's what the game plan is this afternoon. I'm going to kick back, get my thoughts, get the wind right, sneak in there late this evening. I'm not going to set up and be in there for a long period of time because the wind's whirling a little bit and I want the wind to settle down some when I go in there. I want the thermals to be, I want to just beat the thermals. I think that's going to work to my advantage. We'll give it a shot. He's an old joker, old big headed mature deer. Looks pretty looking deer, swelled up. Man, good looking deer. Thank you, Lord. I guess I could tell you what I did though. I come in here and I snuck in this bottom. He's got a scrape right up there on the hillside behind me. He's got scrapes all around in here, a couple of rubs, and he's been active. It's kind of, some of these bucks are in lockdown mode. Some of them are still chasing, searching for does, and some of them I'm just in between, I guess. I don't know. There's some does in here too. I didn't see any does. I just seen this one buck, an armadillo. I'm watching the armadillo and I hear his footsteps behind me. I'm like, holy man, he's right behind me. I turn around and there he is. Just maybe 15 yards from the base of the tree. And I don't know what he's sniffing on the ground over there, but I guess maybe where that armadillo was rooting around. But I did some grunts and bleats, and them old cedar limbs, when you snap them, they make a loud noise. So I basically called this buck in here to me. The bed area is about 80 yards from here. There's a real thick, nasty hump down in this bottom, and he beds in this bottom. I've jumped him out of here a couple of times, or I've jumped deer. You know, it may not be the same buck, but I've jumped deer off that hump. And as soon as I got climbed up in the tree, I snuck in here quiet as I could because it's pretty loud. The leaves are crunchy. And the first thing I did was break a couple of limbs, and I grunt with my voice. So I went, "Arr!" I want it to echo in this holler. So I do it kind of loud now. "Arr!" Do 2 or 3 of those, and I wait a few minutes, you know, let it calm down, get quiet. Because sometimes you'll hear footsteps trotting, they'll run to you when you do that. Well, if they're hunting a doe in heat, this is the time to call them. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 minutes later, you know, I'll do a small, softer grunt. I'll break a couple limbs more, make some noise, and then I shut up. Y'all go get you one of these things now, you hear?